I'll never forget the first moment I realized something was wrong. It was a Tuesday morning. Humid. Cicadas buzzing outside. When I opened my front door and saw the empty space where my Amazon package should have been. You know that gut punch feeling. That hollow what the hell just happened in your stomach. Yeah. That was me. I checked the app. Delivered. Picture proof. The brown box sitting neatly on my porch just yesterday afternoon. But now, gone. Vanished. My chest tightened. My jaw clenched. And then, I saw her. Karen. My next-door neighbor with that fake pearl necklace. Cropped blonde bob and the eternal scowl like the whole world owed her something. She was standing in her driveway with her arms crossed. Looking at me like I was the one trespassing. And in her hands, oh God, was the exact brown Amazon box from the photo. I froze. "Excuse me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "That's my package." Her lips curled into this little smirk. The kind you'd want to slap off someone's face. "Actually," she said, voice dripping with venom, "I don't think you deserve deliveries. You leave things out. You order too much. You're cluttering up the neighborhood." What? My brain short-circuited. Who the hell even says that? "You stole my package." I fired back. My throat was dry. My pulse racing. Karen rolled her eyes like I was some annoying fly buzzing near her wine glass. "Don't be dramatic. It's just a package. Honestly, someone like you shouldn't have these things showing up all the time. It makes the block look cheap." That was it. That was the exact second the switch flipped inside me. Because listen, this wasn't just about a box. It was about control. It was about Karen thinking she had the right to decide who got to live peacefully and who didn't. I stepped forward. Closer than she liked. I could see her grip tighten on the cardboard. "Give me my damn package, Karen." She let out this shrill laugh. "Or what? You'll call Amazon. You'll complain to the homeowners association." And that laugh, God, that laugh, echoed in my skull like nails on a chalkboard. I swear, if this were a Netflix series, the camera would have zoomed right into my face at that moment. My eyes narrowed. My breath came out slow. And I knew I was about to flip the entire script on this woman. That night, I didn't sleep. My heart kept pounding with every memory of her smug face. I replayed it over and over, the audacity, the theft, the judgment. And then, the plans started forming. Not just a little clapback. Not just calling the cops. No. This was going to be the kind of reversal people write about in group chats for weeks. Step 1, cameras. I ordered 4 security cameras that same night. When they arrived, I bolted them up at every angle of my porch, my driveway, even a hidden one facing her yard. Step 2, bait. I ordered another package. But this time, inside the Amazon box wasn't a gadget or a book. Oh no. It was a glitter bomb. A full-blown, high-pressure, rainbow-colored nightmare waiting for the wrong hands. 2 days later, I set the trap. I placed the package on my porch in plain view, angled the cameras perfectly and waited. My chest was tight with anticipation. Every car passing made me jump. And then, just as the sun dipped low, there she was, Karen. She strutted across her lawn like she owned the planet, glanced around once and then, without hesitation, snatched up the box. My hidden camera caught everything. The greedy fingers, the sly grin, the quick dash back to her porch. I sat inside, practically shaking with adrenaline, waiting for the moment. And then, boom, through my open window, I heard her shriek. A high-pitched, panicked scream followed by a string of curses. Glitter erupted in the air like confetti on New Year's Eve, coating her hair, her blouse, her precious pearl necklace. It clung to her skin, sparkled in the setting sun and drifted across her perfectly trimmed lawn. I bit my knuckle to keep from screaming with laughter. My chest heaved, tears in my eyes. Oh God, it was beautiful. But of course, Karen didn't take it lying down. The next morning, she stormed over to my porch, glitter still clinging to her scalp like cosmic punishment. You, she spat. You set me up. You violated my rights. I blinked. Your rights, Karen. You stole my package. Her voice shook, half rage, half desperation. This is harassment. I'm calling the homeowners association. Of course she was. Now, here's where the twist slid in like a sharp knife. The homeowners association president. Yeah. He was my cousin. A quiet, buttoned-up guy named Matt who hated drama but loved rules. And Karen. She had broken quite a few. When she filed her complaint, Matt called me first. Listen, he said. She's accusing you of entrapment, theft, harassment, and God knows what else. But I saw your footage. She's finished. I exhaled, a laugh escaping. So what now? Now, he said, we show the board. And when the board saw, oh man, the room erupted, half in laughter, half in disgust. Karen's glitter-covered tantrum on camera was undeniable. She had stolen, lied, and humiliated herself in 4K. But here's the kicker. Turns out, this wasn't the first time. Multiple neighbors had missing packages over the last few months. And with my footage, the dots connected. Karen wasn't just a thief. She was the neighborhood package bandit. The fallout was brutal, and I savored every second. The homeowners association fined her. Amazon blacklisted her address. Neighbors turned their backs. Kids whispered glitter thief when she walked past. And the delivery guys, they refused to hand her anything directly ever again. But karma wasn't done with her yet. 2 weeks later, a patrol car pulled up outside her house. Lights flashing, neighbors gawking. Officers walked her out in handcuffs. Turns out, package theft is a felony when it crosses state lines, and she'd been ordering stolen goods on resale sites. I watched from my porch, sipping my coffee, heart hammering with a strange mix of triumph and disbelief. She shot me a look, pure venom, glitter still faintly sparkling in her hairline like the ghost of her downfall. And in that moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You know what the craziest part is? She really believed she could take something from me, declare I didn't deserve it, and walk away clean. But life doesn't work that way. Every action echoes. Every theft leaves fingerprints. Every laugh at someone else's expense comes back around louder, sharper, merciless. So yeah, my package was stolen. But in the end, Karen lost way more than a box. She lost her dignity. She lost her reputation. She lost her freedom. And me, I gained the sweetest victory of all. Justice. Captured on camera. Replayed again and again whenever I need a reminder that karma has one hell of a sense of humor. You ever come back from a long road trip, dreaming of your own bed, only to find strangers living in your house like they own the damn place? Yeah. That happened. Except it wasn't just any strangers, it was the Karen sisters. And one of them was inside my locked rental cabin, flipping pancakes like it was Sunday brunch at Grandma's. I swear, I stood there in shock for a full 10 seconds, keys in hand, mouth hanging open. The scent of maple syrup hit me first. Then came the hiss of bacon on cast iron and the soft hum of some god-awful easy listening station playing from my kitchen speaker. My speaker, the same one I had tucked away in a drawer before I left. Let me back up a sec. I own a quiet little A-frame cabin up by Lake Ironbell, upstate Michigan. Nothing fancy, just pinewood walls, a wraparound porch, and a view that heals your soul. I rent it out now and then to hikers or couples looking to unplug. But this last stretch, I blocked out the calendar for a whole month. It was supposed to be mine. Just me, the trees, and the damn silence I'd been craving since January. Except silence wasn't what I found when I pulled up that gravel drive. I knew something was off the moment I saw the car, a red Subaru Outback, parked crooked, nosing into the hydrangeas like it had tried to parallel park in a corn maze. Florida plates, stickers for astrology, iced coffee, and I kid you not, one that read, "Don't talk to me or my crystals." That should have been my first warning. I stepped up onto the porch and immediately spotted muddy footprints. 2 sets. Smallish. One with a heel. The other looked like it came straight out of a Target clearance bin. My heart dropped. Did I forget to lock up? No. I knew I double-locked that door and set the smart deadbolt from my phone. Except now the lock was scratched. Like someone jammed it with a key that didn't fit and kept twisting until it gave way. I pushed open the door. It creaked slowly, dramatically, like it knew something stupid was waiting on the other side. And there she was. A woman in her mid-30s, frizzy blonde bun, leggings with flamingos on them, and a live laugh love, hoodie 3 sizes too small. She was humming, as if she was in her own kitchen. She turned, saw me, froze. Then I kid you not, she smiled and said, "Oh, you must be the handyman." I blinked. "Excuse me? The faucet's been dripping, like, super annoyingly. Can you look at it before my sister gets back with the oat milk?" There was a long silence. I think the sound of sizzling bacon filled it for both of us. I stepped in, my jaw working like I was chewing a wasp. "This is my cabin." She laughed, actually laughed, and waved a spatula like a wand. "Oh no, sweetie. This was booked through the neighborhood sharing program. We're part of the HOA's eco-retreat pilot." The what now? Let me be crystal clear. This cabin is outside any HOA jurisdiction. I bought it because of that. No board meetings. No Karen surveillance. Just trees, peace, and Wi-Fi that barely works. So I said, "I didn't approve any program. This cabin is not part of an HOA. You are trespassing." Her eyes narrowed. The smile faded. And then, like a damn sitcom, the front door flew open and in walked another Karen. Taller. Redhead. Tighter leggings. Same entitled energy. She stopped cold when she saw me. Then scoffed. "Who the hell are you? I own this place." "No, you don't. Brittany told me she got permission from the HOA. We're conducting a spiritual cleanse." A spiritual, oh my God. I laughed. Just one single, tired laugh. The kind that sounds like it might turn into a scream if you push it. I reached for my phone. That's when the redhead lunged for me. No joke. She grabbed my wrist hard and yelled, "You can't call anyone. You're violating our energy cycle." I yanked my arm free and backed up, slamming into the coffee table. My knee caught the corner and pain shot through my leg. The blonde, Brittany, was still holding the spatula like she might go full hibachi chef on me. "Get out," I said, breathing hard now. "Get out. You're making this hostile," the redhead snapped. "You agreed to this program by owning property within the reflective boundary." What in the New Age HOA nonsense was she even talking about? I managed to hit the SOS call shortcut on my phone. Sheriff's dispatch answered fast. I told them 2 women had broken into my property, were refusing to leave, and had possibly damaged the lock. And here's the kicker: as I was still talking to dispatch, Brittany ran to the back door and locked it, like I was the intruder. I told the operator, "They just locked me in my own house." 15 minutes later, I heard tires crunching up the gravel. Sheriff's deputy walked in, an older guy with a badge that had seen too many winters. He raised one brow at the scene. Me, red-faced and panting, 2 women standing by the stove like they were about to offer him pancakes. "Ladies," he said, sighing, "tell me this is a misunderstanding." "Oh, thank God you're here," Brittany cried. "This man broke in and started yelling at us. He claims he owns this cabin." The deputy turned to me. I pulled out my license, my property deed copy, even showed the cabin's smart lock logs. He nodded slowly, then asked the Karens if they had any documents. They pulled out a flyer. A freaking flyer printed on colored paper, with clip art and a made-up name, Community Eco Refuge Sharing Network. There wasn't even an address. He asked again, "So you didn't have a lease? Any contract?" They both just blinked. Then Brittany said, "We don't believe in paperwork. It's part of capitalism's trauma." That was it. The deputy radioed for backup. 20 minutes later, both were in cuffs, yelling about spiritual oppression and sovereign citizen housing laws. Turns out, they'd been squatting at cabins up and down the lake for weeks, crashing wherever the owners were gone, breaking in, claiming HOA nonsense, and energy cycling each property. One old man down the road thought he was going senile when he saw a dream catcher hanging in his den. As they were hauled off, Brittany yelled over her shoulder, "You can't arrest energy. You'll regret this." I just leaned against my porch railing, watching her be stuffed into the back seat of a cruiser, and muttered, "Guess the energy's doing hard time now. So you'd think that would be the end of it, right?" Except 3 days later, I got a call from a lawyer. "Mr. Jensen?" the voice said, all nasal and clipped like he'd never tasted a real blueberry in his life. "I represent the Sterling sisters. My clients allege they had verbal permission to reside in your cabin." I blinked so hard I swear it rearranged my eyebrows. He continued, "They're pursuing civil damages for emotional distress. They claim you created a hostile environment and escalated the situation in a way that violated their spiritual practices." "Sir," I said, trying not to burst out laughing. "They broke in, made breakfast, assaulted me, and refused to leave. I didn't escalate anything except the 911 call." There was a long silence. Then the lawyer side actually sighed. "Look, between you and me, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. But they've filed paperwork. Expect a summons." Turns out these two weren't just entitled, they were experienced. This was their 6th cabin stunt in 2 states. They'd racked up minor trespassing and fraud charges, but this time they picked the wrong guy. Because the deputy, the one who cuffed him, his brother was the DA. And once the full story got out and I handed over the cabin's surveillance footage, which Brittany clearly didn't notice mounted in the rafters, the case turned fast. The charges stuck. Not just trespassing, breaking and entering, assault, fraudulent misrepresentation. And because the Sterling sisters had a long enough history of spiritual homesteading, the judge didn't go light. Sentence: 90 days in county lockup, plus mandatory psych eval and restitution. They had to pay for the damage to the lock, the cleaning, and the cherry on top, my new doorbell cam, which I installed the next morning. And just when I thought the whole circus was behind me, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a little crystal wrapped in tissue paper. Note said, "Your aura is blocked. Free yourself. B." I chuckled, then tossed it straight in the wood stove. The flame flared blue for half a second, like even the fire had something to say about their nonsense. That night, I sat on my porch with a cold drink, watching the lake shimmer under moonlight. No music, no humming, no bacon, just quiet, real quiet. And I finally let out the breath I'd been holding since the moment I saw that damn Subaru. So yeah, if you ever see a flyer for the Eco Refuge Network, do yourself a favor, run the other way, or better yet, call your sheriff and set up a camera. Because Karen energy doesn't knock. It barges in, burns your sage, and fries eggs on your favorite pan like it's doing you a favor. If you enjoyed this madness, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. What would you have done if you found 2 Karens flipping pancakes in your locked cabin? I smelled the cigarette smoke before I even turned onto my street. That acrid, bitter tang cutting through the cool evening air, it wasn't mine. And when I finally pulled up, my headlights washed over them. Again, the 2 Karen sisters, Lynette and Sharon, leaning against my fence like they owned the place. Loud pop music thumping from a speaker that sat right on my driveway. My private driveway. "Are you serious right now?" I muttered, killing the engine. My hands were already curling into fists. This was the 3rd time in 2 months. 3rd. And they knew damn well it wasn't public property. "Oh, calm down, Greg," Sharon called out, her voice dripping with that sarcastic, nasal mockery she'd perfected over the years. "We're just having a few friends over. Don't be so uptight." Uptight? I stared past her. There were cars lined up like a makeshift parking lot on my land, tire tracks dug into my gravel, and beer bottles rolling in the gutter. My jaw clenched so hard I felt my teeth grind. "This is private property. You're trespassing." Lynette, the elder of the 2, smirked like she was about to deliver a punchline. "Oh, we checked the records. Technically, this section isn't yours." My heart kicked in my chest. "The hell it isn't." That's when she pulled out a thin manila folder and waved it at me like it was holy scripture. "Got the paperwork right here. Says this is shared community space. Maybe you should read it before you embarrass yourself." I snatched the folder from her hands. The paper was a low-grade copy, smudged black ink that looked like it had been run through a cheap printer at least a dozen times. My eyes narrowed on the signature at the bottom, an old HOA president's name, but the loop in the first letter was wrong. And the date? Impossible. The man had died 3 years before this so-called agreement was signed. I froze, my stomach nodding. This wasn't just arrogance. This was forged. You committed fraud, I said, my voice low. The music behind them kept pulsing, a mocking beat that made my skin crawl. Sharon tilted her head and gave that little scoff laugh. Good luck proving that, neighbor. Oh, they had no idea. I walked past them, straight into my garage, and pulled my phone from my pocket. I didn't call the police, not yet. This wasn't going to be one of those petty neighbor disputes that got laughed out of the station. This was about building a case. I took photos of the paper from every angle, close-ups of the mismatched signatures, the date inconsistency, and even the font. I took video of the music blaring, the guests laughing, the line of cars on my property. Evidence. Over the next week, I started digging. County records, HOA minutes from 10 years back, even a notarized statement from the dead man's son, confirming his father never signed any community sharing agreement. Each fact I uncovered was like loading another bullet into the chamber. Meanwhile, the sisters doubled down. They held another party, this time in the middle of the week. I came home at 10 p.m. to flashing strobe lights bouncing off my front windows and the sound of someone drunkenly belting out Sweet Caroline. My driveway was so jammed with vehicles I had to park 2 streets over. I stood in the shadows that night, just watching. Every beer can tossed on my gravel. Every cigarette butt crushed into the dirt. Every shriek of laughter echoing like they were daring me to fight them. The breaking point came when I found vomit near my mailbox the next morning. That was it. No more waiting. By the time my lawsuit hit their mailbox, the sisters must have thought it was a bluff. Fraud, forgery, trespassing, destruction of property. I hit them with every count I could. My attorney told me most people in cases like this just wanted a restraining order. I wanted blood. And yet the real twist came at the first hearing. The sisters waltzed in like they were auditioning for some trashy reality show, matching sunglasses, leopard print coats, smug little smiles. They slapped their agreement down on the judge's desk like it was a trump card. I'll never forget the way Judge Herrera picked up that paper, studied it for a few seconds, then slowly raised one eyebrow. Ladies, did you personally prepare this document? Lynette's grin faltered for half a second. No, it's from the HOA. The HOA that dissolved in 2018? The judge asked, her voice like a whip crack. You could feel the air shift in that courtroom. The spectators leaned in, the clerk's pen paused mid-note, and even my lawyer straightened in his seat. The judge set the paper down, her tone suddenly sharper. This appears to contain a forged signature and false date. Are you aware that forging legal documents is a criminal offense in this state? The sisters exchanged a glance, quick, panicked. Sharon opened her mouth, closed it, then muttered something about misunderstanding. Oh no, that wasn't going to save them. Herrera wasn't done. She flipped through my evidence, photos, video, sworn statements, and her expression hardened. Mr. Albright, you've been remarkably thorough. This isn't just a property dispute. This is willful, repeated trespassing and fraudulent misrepresentation. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. Was this really happening? After months of being gaslit, laughed at, called uptight, was justice actually here? By the time the gavel came down, the room felt electric. The ruling? Not only were the sisters banned from setting foot on my property ever again, they were ordered to pay damages for repairs, cleanup, and this was the sweet part, emotional distress. Heavy compensation, tens of thousands. And still, Lynette couldn't resist one last dig as we walked out. You think you've won, Greg, but we'll see. I stopped in the hallway, turned, and let a slow smile creep across my face. No, Lynette, we already saw. In court, in front of a judge. Her cheeks flushed pink. She turned away fast. It would have been satisfying enough to leave it there, but 2 weeks later, I got a call from a detective. Turns out, the forged HOA document had been part of a bigger scam. They'd been using similar fake agreements to bully other neighbors into letting them use land for events. Now the DA was involved. Criminal charges. I hung up the phone and just stood there, staring out my kitchen window at the empty, quiet driveway. For the first time in months, it felt like my home was mine again. It didn't take long for the news to spread. This was a small town. Whispers traveled faster than the wind through the pines. People at the local coffee shop suddenly stopped mid-sentence when the sisters walked in. Neighbors who once tolerated their arrogance now crossed the street to avoid them. But I wasn't expecting the knock at my door one Thursday morning. It was a courier, holding a sealed envelope. "From the county prosecutor's office," he said, handing it over. Inside was a formal statement. The Karen sisters had been indicted on multiple counts of fraud, document forgery, and attempted property theft. My breath caught. This wasn't just some slap on the wrist. They were facing real criminal consequences. Jail time. I sat back in my chair, letting the weight of it sink in. These women had strutted around my driveway for months like they were untouchable, waving fake papers in my face, mocking me in front of my own neighbors. Now, they were about to answer to the law in a way that would stain their records forever. The trial was ugly. Their defense attorney tried to spin them as misguided community organizers who had misinterpreted old HOA agreements. But the prosecutor shredded that narrative in minutes. My photos, my videos, my recorded statements from other neighbors, they painted a picture so clear it could have been a mural. The forged document was the nail in their coffin. The handwriting expert testified that the signature had been traced badly over an older, authentic document. The ink's chemical composition didn't even match the year it was supposedly signed. It was almost laughable, if it hadn't been so brazen. When the verdict came down, I'll admit I didn't cheer. I didn't smirk. I just watched as Lynette and Sharon stood there, pale-faced, hands clasped so tightly their knuckles turned white. The judge's voice was steady, almost cold. "You are hereby sentenced to 18 months probation, community service, and restitution payments totaling $45,000 to the plaintiff. Any violation will result in immediate incarceration." $45,000. That's more than their precious leopard print coats and their gaudy SUVs combined. And for the next year and a half, they'd be picking up trash on the roadside under the watch of the same sheriff's deputies they once mocked at HOA meetings. After the sentencing, I walked out of the courthouse into the bright afternoon sun. For the first time in a long while, I felt lighter. My driveway was safe, my land was respected, and the loud thump of bass speakers was just a distant memory. I didn't set out to ruin them. I set out to protect what was mine. But when someone builds their kingdom on lies, fraud, and forged paper, the collapse inevitably just takes the right push. If you've ever stood up to bullies and watched them lose in a lawsuit, hit that subscribe button so more people hear stories just like this. Oh, you wouldn't believe what I saw last Tuesday morning. The sun had barely cleared the tops of the palms when the screech of a golf cart jolted me upright. Tires tearing through the dewy petals of the community flower path. Our path left a muddy trail like a scar on silk. And there she was again, Karen. Sunglasses too big for her narrow face. Hand on hip like she owned the damn subdivision. Her sister, oh yes, the other one, was riding shotgun, smirking like a teenager. They didn't stop, didn't even slow, just zoomed straight through the tulips I planted last spring with a team of neighbors. Petals flew, snapped clean from the stem, crushed beneath wheels and entitlement. I stood there, barefoot on my porch, coffee trembling in my hand, whispering to no one, "No, no, she didn't, but oh, she did." You see, that path wasn't just flowers and mulch, it was a promise. A silent agreement between the residents of Cypress Grove to cherish something delicate. I'd poured 3 weekends and $200 into that flower bed. The HOA approved it. I had receipts, photos, everything. I stormed down the front walk, heart thumping against my chest like a warning bell. "Karen," I shouted after her, "that's community property. You can't just..." But the roar of the cart cut me off. And Karen? She flicked her hand, not even turning her damn neck. Just that little dismissive wave, like she was brushing away lint. God, the disrespect. My neighbor, Jesse, jogged out with his phone already recording. "Dude, I got the whole thing. Wanna post it?" I blinked. "Hell yes. That night, the video hit the HOA Facebook group. 57 comments in the first hour. People were furious, especially old Mrs. Campbell, who donated the begonias. By morning, the board was tagging themselves in. Now, let me back up a second. Karen wasn't just your average pain-in-the-ass neighbor. She was the pain. The one who called in noise violations when your kid had a birthday. Who filed complaints about unapproved shade umbrellas during heat waves. Who literally tried to ticket my dog once for unauthorized lawn urination. And now this? No, I wasn't letting this go. Wednesday, 9:03, a.m., HOA meeting. Emergency session. The board didn't even bother hiding their annoyance. Melissa, the president, clacked her pen against her clipboard like a metronome of irritation. Let's be clear, she said, her voice sharp. The community flower path was explicitly protected under last year's landscaping budget. Karen was informed of this twice, and her actions this week along with her guest star considered a direct violation of the Common Area Preservation Clause. A pause. Karen, hair immovable in its helmet of hairspray, crossed her legs and sighed like she was the victim. You all are being ridiculous. I've lived here for 8 years. I know what I'm allowed to do. That path was always in the way of the golf cart lane. It's not my fault it's been moved. Melissa raised an eyebrow. The path hasn't moved, Karen. You did. Onto the flowers. That got a little chuckle from someone in the back. Karen's face flushed. And, Melissa continued, tapping her iPad, per Section 3, Article 9 of the HOA bylaws, intentional damage to shared spaces carries a penalty of $500 and if repeated access restriction. Karen's sister leaned in with a snort. What's next? You're gonna revoke her pool privileges? Melissa didn't blink. Actually? Yes. Silence. The kind that sucks the air from a room. Karen straightened. You wouldn't. We already did. And just like that, the room erupted. Some clapped. One guy, bless him, whispered. Finally. Karen stood so fast her chair scraped backward, screeching like a car crash. This is harassment, she snapped. This whole thing is a vendetta. You all just hate me because I actually enforce the rules. Oh, sweetheart, I said from the back, unable to stop myself. You are the rule breaker this time. Maybe take a breath and sit down. She turned, eyes wild. You shut your mouth. This whole thing is because of your stupid little plants. I grinned. You mean the ones you ran over with a vehicle? Yeah. Those. That's when things really spun. Her sister stood up too. We'll appeal this. You people don't know who you're messing with. Karen's friends with the regional HOA council. Melissa cut in. Already spoke to them. They said, and I quote, she's your problem now. God. The sound of Karen gasping in disbelief was almost satisfying. Almost. But the best part? It was yet to come. See, 2 days later, she tried to use her keycard at the clubhouse gym. Nothing. She buzzed the door. Nothing. Then she tried the pool gate. Locked out. That weekend, while we were hosting our monthly barbecue on the community lawn, Karen had to stand outside the tennis court fence like a ghost of privilege, pass and hat pulled low, arms crossed, just watching everyone else have fun. And that's when I saw Ither's sister, climbing into another golf cart alone. Karen waved, but her sister didn't stop. Just rolled away with a shrug and a call of, You've been acting real weird lately, Karen. Oof. Twist of the knife. But karma? Oh, karma wasn't done yet. That Monday, a landscaper crew showed up at Karen's front lawn. She hadn't paid last season's trimming fee. Turns out she'd racked up several violations of her own. They removed the decorative bushes she'd planted without approval and replaced them with plain turf. She ran out barefoot, screaming at them. You can't just take my azaleas. They didn't even look up. And me? I just sipped my coffee from my porch, where the flowers were blooming again thanks to the neighbors who rallied together that weekend. We replanted everything. Even added a little sign next to the petunias that read, Community roots run deeper than golf cart tracks. It was Jesse's idea. Genius. Karen hasn't spoken to anyone in weeks. Her Facebook's been quiet. Her once daily HOA emails? Gone. But sometimes, just sometimes, I hear the faint hum of her golf cart rolling slowly down the street like a ghost still haunting the path she ruined. Some folks thought that was the end of it, that Karen would just slink into the shadows, tail tucked. Lesson learned. Ah, if only. 2 weeks later, an envelope showed up in my mailbox. No stamp, hand-delivered. Inside, a typed letter on cheap paper threatening a lawsuit. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my sandwich. She claimed emotional distress, said the community turned against her because of defamatory flower propaganda. I showed it to Jesse, and he practically wheezed into his beer. "Is she suing you for gardening?" he asked, blinking. "Apparently, my begonias caused a hostile living environment," I said. "We did what any rational people would do, handed it to the HOA's legal committee. And guess what? Karen's lawsuit? Tossed. Turns out, when you run over protected landscaping with a golf cart in broad daylight, and there's video, you're not exactly on stable legal ground." But the story didn't end there. The HOA finally brought up what we'd all been whispering about: revoking Karen's residency privileges altogether. Not just her pool pass, not just her gym access. Her entire residency rights were now under review. Apparently, a clause buried deep in the bylaws allowed for forced property sale in cases of repeated HOA abuse and financial negligence. Karen had checked both boxes, twice. At the next meeting, she showed up alone. No sister, no sunglasses, no swagger. She sat quietly as Melissa read through the violations, one by one. Dead air filled the room when it ended. Karen didn't even speak. She just stood up, collected her purse, and walked out. We haven't seen her since. Her house went up for sale a month later. Priced low, sold fast. The new owners? A sweet retired couple who brought banana bread to the first HOA gathering and signed up to help water the flower path. Can you believe that? Now, every time I walk by those tulips, I grin. Not because Karen's gone, but because we stood our ground. We didn't yell. We didn't stoop to her level. We just let the truth and the bylaws do the work. Some call it petty. I call it accountability. And Karen? Well, she learned the hard way that when you mess with the roots, the garden bites back. Want more wild HOA stories like this one? Subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay tuned. There's a lawsuit involving a rogue gazebo and a flamingo army coming next.